going on, people? It's Greg here with another Excel VBA tutorial video. Today we'll be going over how to transpose data from one sheet to another. So let's get right into it. Alright, so on the right here I've got a list of countries with their regions and their populations for each one. And what we want to do is transpose this data onto this tab here. So we'll start off with our subname. Let's call it transpose to another sheet. And we'll declare our variables. We'll start off with the first sheet, the original sheet. We'll call it OG, and we'll set that as a worksheet. And then the next sheet, we'll call that ns for next sheet. And we'll have to count the columns and the rows to determine the size of our range. So we'll declare a variable called count column as an integer. And then we'll do count row as an integer. Alright, so now we can set OG, which is the original sheet. We'll set that equal to ThisWorkbook.Sheets, and the sheet name is sheet 1. But I could change this if I want, so let me call this like raw data, and we'll call this transpose data. And instead of typing raw data here, what we can do is, if you look here to the left, you see how that says raw data. It's referencing on sheet 1 and transpose data is on sheet 2. I can just write the number 1 here, so that no matter what I name the sheet, this macro will always work and it'll always reference the right sheet. So now I'll set the next sheet, ns, equal to ThisWorkbook.Sheets, and I want sheet 2, so number 2 in there. Alright, so let's activate the original sheet first. So og.Activate, so all you got to type, and then we'll count the columns, and we'll set that equal to WorksheetFunction, and then CountA range, and we're going to start at A1. So we're starting right here, and then range A1 again, and we're going to do end, and then XL. Since we're counting the columns, we're going to the right, and then close, close, close. And then for our count row, we're going to do a similar thing. So let's go ahead and grab this. Let's copy it, paste it, and instead of to the right for the rows, we're going to just count down. So it'll be XL down. Alright, so we've got that out the way. Now let's go ahead and go to our loop. We're going to use a nested for loop for this one. So we'll start off with our first loop. It's going to be I is equal to 1, and we're going to go from I equals 1 to the column count, so it'll be 3 in this case. And then at the bottom of our loop, we want a next I. And then inside of that, we want for j equals 1 to count row. And then we're going to use next j at the bottom of that one. So inside of this, let's see. We're going to reference our next sheet, so ns, and the cells that we want to reference are I and then j. So you can think of them as like parameters. Instead of xy, they'd be yx though. So I would be going up and down, and j would be going left and right. So we want that to be equal to the original, so og, we want cells, instead of ij, we want ji. And then we want the text in those cells. Alright, so these will give us our transposed data from this sheet to this sheet. And let's go ahead and activate the next sheet after we've looped through. So you know what, let's go ahead and start stepping through this code. So you can press F8 to loop through. You see the yellow? So now we're stepping through, activating the raw data sheet. We're counting the columns, the rows, and now we're entering our loop. And we'll go through it a couple times. So if I go over here, we'll see that it's already starting to work. So I've got my country, and now it's going down from China to India, and it's going across to the right instead of going down. So I come back here and just keep going a few more times. See, I've made it all the way across, just about. And we can let it play through. So if I press run, now you see we got all of our data here. And what we can do is we can even add a couple of columns just to see how it looks. Run it, and you see we got down, now it goes down 5. However, let's say we clear this data here, right? And I run it again. We'll still have the remaining data. So let's go ahead and clear the content somewhere. So we can actually do it right here. So on the next sheet, we're going to reference all the cells and then clear contents. That way there's no residual data each time we go through the, when we repeat running the macro. So I'll go back to raw data, run it, and now we look good. We've got 2 columns, now you've got 2 rows. If I got rid of this here, run it, 2 columns, 6 rows. Sorry, 2 rows, 6 columns, 2 columns, 6 rows. And yeah, so that's all there is to it. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching. Have a good one.